Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
People will forget what you said. People will forget what you did. But people will never forget how you made them feel. I feel that way with all the kindness you've bestowed upon me with the questions and concerns over my wife, Deanne. Thank you. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a Patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance on this Wednesday, September 2nd. Good morning. And a good morning to you and yours from Zeb at the Ranch, and of course our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. These are really, really good people serving you in a safe, clean environment, and the best always in tires. And of course, along with Les Schwab Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sean, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And right now, let's go to the weather forecast that's always provided first thing off the blocks this morning by K&R Rental with Roger and the crew at 256 South, 600 west of Heyburn. Easy to find right there on the Burley Paul Highway with a rental of the best tools and equipment you need to finish any job. Any job. You be sure and stop in or give them a call. Find out what you need for the rental of the equipment for both long and short-term rentals. 678-3122, K&R Rental. And right now, let's have Gina with the weather.
A high-pressure system is moving in over the next couple of days, bringing us some warmer temperatures as we move towards Labor Day weekend. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Sunny skies for today, a little bit of a breeze out of the west at about 12 miles an hour. We could have gusts as high as 25 miles an hour. Expecting a high of 87. Tonight, nice and clear. Still going to be breezy. Expecting a low of 51. Tomorrow, sunny skies with a high of 88. Clear for tomorrow night with a low of about 53 as we head towards Friday. Sunny skies, high of 91. 95 for Saturday, and then for Sunday, looking at a high of 90. And that's a look at your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Oh, my. Thank you. Summer's not gone yet. Don't worry about that. But I'll tell you somebody that's never going to go away because they're always there to serve you, and that's K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 west of Heyburn. And again, I want to reiterate, they've got all the tools you need to finish any kind of a project. So please, if you're not sure what you need, give Roger a call at 678-3122. K&R Rental on the Burley Paul Highway. Once again, I want to just say this quickly. Thank you to everybody that's been so kind with your well wishes for my wife Deanne, and of course emails, cards, etc. Thank you very much. Caller, I'll be right there. I want to remind everybody too about our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric. They get there early in the morning at 7:30 to 5, Monday through Friday, and of course they're located at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, and literally the word all is encompassing your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. They do have it all. And they've got the best of people, the most experienced of people, almost 7 decades of service to you. Ramsey Heating and Electric in Burley. Number to call, 678-0459. One more good word, and that's, of course, with our friends at Dino's Septic Service. I'll tell you what, they do a job that a lot of us don't even want to get messed up in, and that's septic tank pumping and septic inspections, sewer and sink drain lines cleaned. They provide the best of backhoe services. I mean, these people are really good with the most modern of equipment and the knowledge to go with it. Fast, fair, friendly service, Dino's Septic Service. Number to call, 436-6526 or 678-1638. Call the best with the big truck that says smells cargo on the way. Dino's Septic Service. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, when I was a young man in my early 20s, I used to listen to a radio station that came out of Oklahoma City, KOMA. Mm-hmm. And you could listen to it all night, and it was clear as a bell. Try tuning into K-Bar after about 8 o'clock, and if you get past Twin Falls, you'd be lucky.
Well, you got to remember. Whoa, just a minute.
To have a person on the program today that's going to explain it all to us.
No, just a minute, Keith. Just a minute. I want to back up a little bit. Number one, I said I was going to try to get a person regarding the AM on the dial. I did not say I was going to do it today. I said I was going to try it for next week. And I'm going to make this point emphatically clear with everybody. You've got to bear with me a little bit. I'm a one-horse operation right now, and I'm doing the best I can to get different segments on the air. As far as the radio is concerned, don't condemn K-Bar because they have nowhere near the power outage allowed by the FCC as KOMA and some of those other big stations do. So you've got to be a little careful there.
Well, I back up from that, but I had understood that when you were talking to Senator Anton, that you were going to have a guest on Wednesday, and that's the only reason why I brought it.
No. I said that I would get one organized and try to get it on this program, but all I'm asking the public to do is just be a little bit lenient with me on various things, because like I said, I'm a one-horse operation right now, basically chief cook and bottle washer, and not doing a good job at any of them. So bear with me, and I'll get that taken care of, I promise.
Yeah, but what can we do as listeners to ensure that we're going to be able to have this program in the future?
Well, I appreciate your thinking about this. I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon. And if it does, then all of us are in a huge fire pot of trouble. Because if the left is going to have a condemnation against AM radio, and there's going to be a closure of the airwaves, and there's going to be a stoppage of conservative talk and or whatever else is provided on AM radio, then it's time to grab the pitchforks or whatever and head for Pennsylvania Avenue, because they got to make some changes. But bear with me, Keith. I'll do the best I can in the next couple of days to find out.
And my thoughts go out to you and Deanne.
Well, not to me, just to Deanne. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
No, you need some spiritual help too, because this has really changed your lifestyle.
Well, I don't want to talk about it on the air. I will not talk about it on the air. So thank you very much, Keith. I appreciate it. Thank you. God bless you, man.
Bye.
You and Nancy are special folks. Don't forget Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley, and another location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls, and delicious food for you and your family, friends, and neighbors, Aunt Martha and Uncle Fred. Get everybody together like we do once a month for our lunch bunch, of which I'm sorrowful that we didn't have one this last month, but we're going to shoot for September, I hope. Don't forget Denny's Restaurant, super great people serving you, and like I said, the menu choices are outstanding. Denny's Restaurant is America's Diner. Thomas, Michelle, the whole crew, always right there to welcome you and enjoy your dining experience at 611 North Overland in Burley, Denny's Restaurant. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. The ultimate, I mean, come on. If there's a Democrat in the audience that can defend this, I would like to hear how. Nancy Pelosi in a bathrobe and her hair soaking wet is shown on security cameras walking through a closed, I want to mention that name again, and word, closed hair salon. But it's different for Nancy. She had to have her hair washed and trimmed and blown dry at a closed hair salon. Now, here's how it happened and how it was told to me by a good friend of mine that works in Washington, D.C. Nancy Pelosi's people got a hold of not the owner of the salon, but one of the chair owners. Now, for those of you that are in the barber business or salon business, perhaps you understand this a lot more than I do, but I assume that the chairs in these salons are sold and or rented to various barbers or salonists. There's a good word. And they can have their trade come in at certain times, before hours, after hours, whatever, because that's their business by renting or leasing that chair. Well, the owner of the salon did not know that Nancy Pelosi was going to go and break the rules that are held for everybody else and go to a salon, have her hair fixed, and no mask. No mask. Now, we are told that we can't go to church. We are told that we cannot honor our loved ones at a funeral. We're told that our schools are a shattered mess because this, that, and the other with COVID-19. But it's okay for Nancy Pelosi to go get her hair fixed. Everybody should be outraged over this hypocrite. She's nothing more than a lying hypocrite. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. Yeah, most politicians are hypocrites. It's do as I say, not as I do. And for Nancy Pelosi to do this, and now I want to know what her answer is on it.
Oh, I would love to be a reporter that had some guts. You know something, Doug? Right there, you've touched on the whole thing. You want to hear what she has to say about this, and I will bet you dominoes to birdseed that most reporters, 99.9% of them, haven't got the backbone to ask the question.
Exactly, because if they do, they know they'll lose their job because their bosses are in bed with the liberals.
Bingo.
Who want to take this country down.
Bingo. Absolutely bingo.
Yeah. And that Lightfoot done the same thing.
Yep.
And then that mayor's husband put the boat on the...
Yep.
Or mayor or governor or somewhere.
It was the Governor Whitmer's husband decided that he would go out sailing while everybody else had their boats in dry dock.
Exactly, because you couldn't put a boat on the water because of Corona.
Yeah.
I mean, that right there should wake a lot of people up to tell them what exactly is going on.
You know, really, when you think about it, Doug, and you're a sharp guy, and I got just a touch of feedback there, Sean, if you could help me out. I am up to my neck in absolute distaste and disgust for how we are being manipulated and handled over this coronavirus. You know, when the flu bug is going to hit this fall, you know the flu is going to hit in various strains. You know the common cold is going to be really development of pneumonia cases in some of the elderly. We're going to have a devastating fall. But we can't shrink and pull the rock in after us at the cave. This not going to funerals and honoring our loved ones. This not being able to go to church and standing there and worshiping our God. You can have 25%. I'm not going to abide by this stupid foolishness, and I think it's about high time everybody told government to take a long walk off a very short pier.
Exactly. And our representatives here in Idaho, their silence is deafening. They have not spoke out one word on this.
I've had it. I'm going to wear the mask, and lately I've had to wear the mask a lot because of the health reasons and concerns over my wife. I will abide by that, but I'm not going to shrink into a cave. I'm not going to have anybody tell me I can't do this and I can't do that. It's my life, which is looking over my shoulder in the rear view mirror right now at my age, but I'm not about to listen to these politicians lie to us and tell us we can't do something, and then behind closed doors, these hypocrites do it themselves.
Exactly. And I seen a post the other day, and it showed a page out of an 1986 or 89 medical journal, and it showed a deal, coronavirus, common cold.
Yeah. Well, there are numerous, you know this, there are numerous COVID or coronaviruses. There are numerous. This is COVID-19. And we're looking at a fall. I had a story that I was going to get to yesterday, and I can't remember if I touched on it or not. But we're looking at a end of summer and going into fall, where you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out that when more enclosure of people in buildings, whether it's at the office, whether it's at the house, or whether it's at any location, we're going to have outbreaks of the common cold. We're going to have the outbreaks of the common and varied and sundry flu viruses, and still have COVID-19. What are we going to do, Doug? Just sit there and wither away?
Well, look at it like this. Where do the diseases spread the most?
Indoors. That's right.
I mean, hello.
No, I've lost my temper and my patience, and I make no apologies. I'm sick and tired of these Looney Tunes condemning you and I and everybody else. Oh, you should wear your mask 24/7 at the time you get out of bed in the morning until you go to bed at night. And maybe even wear your mask while you're sleeping. Oh, go give me a break.
And yet they don't wear theirs.
Yeah.
But, you know, look, I like that South Dakota governor.
Kristi Noem is one of the sharpest people in politics today, and very, very unassuming, and she's not looking at it for a personality plus. She's doing a darn good job.
Exactly. She let us make our own decisions, or let them make their own decision. So, anyway, everybody, you know, if you got extra stuff in your garden or on your fruit trees, consider donating it to the senior centers. And to all those out there that have some and don't want to get out and pick up, maybe call the senior center, and I'll bet you there'll be some volunteers that come out and pick up for them.
I'll tell you what, that's a good idea. Doug, appreciate your call. Oh, by the way, you got it.
At a senior center, because you'll leave with a full tummy and a full heart.
God bless you, man. Thank you very much for your call, Doug. Appreciate it. Don't forget Zollinger Quarter Horse's 32nd annual production sale, Saturday, September 12th. Caller, I'll be right there. The preview at 10 o'clock in the morning, sale at 11. This is going to be, and I say this when I mean it, a ripping good sale with top colts and fillies that are really from some of the best ever quarter horse bloodlines. And they've got minds, they've got talent, they've got personality. You better be up there at 1994 South, 100 east of Oakley at the ranch, Saturday, September 12th. 32nd annual production sale for Zollinger Quarter Horses. I know Jerry and I know his horses, and it's going to be a dandy. You be there. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. Isn't it interesting? This is the first time we've had a nationwide state lockdown because of some kind of a disease. I mean, we've had things that actually were much worse when you actually total up everything. This is a very weak virus. It hardly affects the young, and the death rate is 0.003. So it's just much less than the flu, and so. But what you're saying is that we've been conned, and wearing a mask. Even the CDC says this virus is so small, all the masks are worthless. I mean, worthless.
Well, hold it. Adrian, wait a minute. I'm not going to let you ramble. I want to interject, and we're going to have a two-way conversation. Number one, what you just said right there means a lot, because there are many, many people, and there are many doctors that have the backbone to speak up, that wearing a mask at an elongated period of time actually is going to create more health hazards, especially with people with heart disease and breathing conditions.
Oh, absolutely. You're breathing back in carbon dioxide And all people have to do is go to Walgreens or someplace and get one of those little finger things and put it on there. It gives you your oxygen saturation. Mine runs from 95 to 98 most of the time. But I can guarantee you, I've tried it. I put a mask on. It doesn't take very long, and that oxygen saturation drops down.
That's right.
So I would challenge people, very young people should not be wearing a mask, and elderly people, because they're breathing back CO2 and they're not getting enough oxygen.
That's right. And there's no argument. Wait a minute. There's no argument there whatsoever. And I just, in the last couple of days, have talked to 3 doctors that would concur with what we said. And these are quality doctors. I am sick and tired of having people demand to me some of the letters to the editors. These people shouldn't be allowed with sharp objects after 6 o'clock at night because of their idiocy regarding mask wearing.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they have no clue where they're coming from. They've just gone. It's like herd mentality. They just want to go along with the crowd, be popular, wear a mask. You know, you're an idiot if you don't. But the bottom line is, we've been conned. This whole thing has been way overblown. We should have never had a state lockdown. If we'd had Raul Labrador as our governor, we never would have lost.
Wait, right there. Hindsight's not going to do any good. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hindsight's not going to do any good in saying, gee whiz, let's look in the rearview mirror and wish that history would come forward. It isn't going to do that. We've got to move on from here. And I want to see progressive moving on as far as what we're going to do with this COVID, with the flu season coming on and colds coming on, that you can't live in a bubble in a hazmat suit. I agree with everything you said, Adrian. I got another call waiting. Thank you. Thank you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. We're having sweet and sour. I forgot what it is. I'm thinking pork and yummy, tasty rice.
All right. Well, I tell you what, Joe, the food is always delicious. The people are always so nice and helpful at the Senior Center on Overland. And tell everybody the telephone number if they want to call ahead and get a takeout meal.
208-878-8646.
All right. Hey, God bless you, Joe, and have yourself a great day, please.
Thank you.
You betcha.
Every day is a good day when you get as old as I am.
I love you, Joe. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Don't forget, on Mondays at 8:30, we always give away a dozen cookies to Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert, right on the square. They've got a phenomenal restaurant. You'll never leave hungry. They've got a fantastic bakery with all the cakes and the pies and the cookies and the muffins and the wedding cakes, and the list goes on and on. Absolutely phenomenal. Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street on the square in Rupert. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning again. Let's deal in facts. The fact is, through the month of August, Cassia and Minnedoka County had both fairs, they had concerts, they had all kinds of gatherings and everything. And did the COVID deal go up? No. So what is going on?
Well, I agree with Adrian a little bit ago. I think we've been conned not by our local or state officials, but by the overall consensus of people that want to take control, have control, and remain in control of the populace of this country. Now, that's not a right-wing philosophy. It's kind of looking at it with a common-sense viewpoint that the lockdowns, the closed downs, the people out of business, the people that's still over on the East Coast, like in New Jersey and other states, California, what a terrible example California is. People are losing their livelihoods. They've lost their money. They're losing their homes. All of this for the fear of the what-ifs, when really we've got to get back to normalcy, because this virus, Keith, as you and Nancy and everybody else knows, this virus is not going to go away.
No, but let's call it like it is. If it is truly COVID-19, then we can call it that. But there's been so many deaths, not just in Idaho, but around the United States, that have been blamed for the COVID-19, and it is simply not.
That's true. That's true. The misinformation and the mishandling of the information has absolutely been ridiculous over COVID-19. And Donald Trump, our president, has taken so much heat. They yelled and screamed, I almost choked to death, yelled and screamed when Trump Daily was coming out at the podium and giving a COVID update. They said, oh, that's terrible. He's in an election year, and that's the only reason he's doing it. Then they stopped it, and then they said he wasn't doing enough. So you're kind of doggoned if you do and doggoned if you don't.
Yeah, it's time for Biden to go back in the basement.
Yeah, I wish that somebody would put some lettuce down there like a little rabbit that would like to go back there and stay in the hole. I'm sick of this. I'm just pathetically sick of what's going on in this country and the lying and the fraud and the hypocritical attitude of the Democrats is beyond the pale.
You know what would really be a tragedy? If somehow Joe Biden got real sick and passed away. Boy, this thing would be in such a turmoil you could not imagine.
I will not on my program ever say anything about someone's illnesses or someone passing away. I don't like that. I don't want to be a part of it because I never will wish anybody, because of their political centers or opinions, any ill will. We've got a problem. It's to be directed at a man right now that is running for the presidency and a woman that's his so-called VP choice, Kamala Harris. I don't want them in power. I don't want them to take any tour through the White House unless they pay for it.
Well said, my friend.
All right. Thanks, Keith. God bless you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You bet. Bye-bye.
The biggest, and I've been there many, many times, the biggest city in the United States, New York City, is honestly turning into a ghost town. I said this last week, and it's coming more to be a solid blue ribbon fact every day. People are leaving in huge numbers because of the onslaught of crime and no leadership with a very dumb man, Bill de Blasio, as mayor, and a complete waste of a city that should be hustling and bustling and trying to get back economically. But no. All they have in New York now are very afraid and concerned people. People that work in the media. People that work in various other factions of having to be at certain jobs in New York City. They are scared to death. Literally. The murders, the shootings, the theft, the rapes in broad daylight, like what happened on that subway platform a couple of days ago, and no one is doing anything. People are standing there, allowing crime to happen. Where are the police? Good question. What's going on? They have a mayor that has to be one of the worst mayors in the history of the United States, Bill de Blasio, that will not do anything. New York City is very sick right now, very perverted right now, and very godless right now. And there has to be a hammer coming down very hard to end this. It can happen anywhere. It's happening in New York City. It's happening in Chicago. It's happening in California with the devastatingly stupid governor, Gavin Newsom. How long before it's going to happen in Boise? How long before it's going to happen in Cheyenne? How long before it's going to happen in Peoria or wherever? It's a cancer that's growing all across our country right now by a left that wants to see a total destruction of our Constitution and our way of life. By the way, the mood I'm in, I'm just going to say this one more time. After yesterday's program, of course, I have my phones that are always available to leave messages. Not one pastor called yesterday to say, you know what, I'd like to volunteer to come on your program and talk about religion and talk about how the application of such should help better today and society today. Not one. Not one. That's really sad, and it's a sad commentary as to the cowardice of many of our pastors that are standing in the pulpit. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Want to say a great big shout out, and by the way, come on, give me a call. I'd really appreciate it this morning, more so than ever. I want to remind you about our dear friends at Burley Equipment and Rental. And they've got 3 locations serving you. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and the Nampa location for all the equipment you need for the lifting and the digging and the pushing and the carrying and the grading and the leveling. Oh, the list goes on. You need something, you turn the motor on, you know it's going to get the job done. They've got all the Bobcats, and they've got all the trenchers and the scissor lifts, and they've got all those Doosan wheel loaders and excavators. I mean, they're going to help you. And they've got fantastic lease rates and great financing programs to purchase. So check it out today. Burley Equipment and Rental in Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I heard just a little bit of the story that Paul Johnson was relating to during the news, the local news. And what is this? Somebody drove down the road and just threw out a little puppy? What kind of people are we turning into, folks? Where is the humanity? You know, every time I talk to Deb Hines over at Minidoka Animal Control, I really get sad. I get sad because of all the puppies and the older dogs that are just basically shunned or left uncared for or taken out into a rural area and just dropped off. But what kind of a low pond scum person could drive down the road and open a window and throw out a baby puppy? Think about that. Think about that. How dumb, how low, and what kind of a lack of personality or any kind of mindset skills can a human being be to just throw a baby puppy out of a car? Somebody help me on that, because it really frustrates me. I mean, I've been around animals all my life and really care for animals. Care for them. I don't care if it's rope and steers. I don't care if it's a horse. I don't care if it's my dogs. I don't care what it is. What kind of sleaze could drive down the road and throw a puppy out the window? Please call 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. There is a committee now. This ought to make you feel warm and fuzzy this morning. There is a committee now being formed to study all the statues and historical monuments. I'm going to tell you more about that in a minute. Here's a caller. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I've got one word that sums it up. Respect. We've lost all respect for human life, any life spirit. Respect.
I am not going to argue, because I think that's a very good word. I think it's a very good choice of words. I remember an instance that happened to Deanne and I about 5 years ago, about 3 weeks before Christmas. And this just absolutely is so hurtful for me to remember, and it enrages me. We heard a car hit the brakes out in front of our place, okay? And then we heard him drive off. And in the middle of the road was a black Labrador mama with 2 puppies laying in the road, and before I could jump up, get a coat on, and get outside, a truck came along and killed all but 1 puppy. And I honestly, I wanted to get that driver. And I wanted to just keep punching them in the nose until, honest to goodness, they thought there was no end. I absolutely have no respect for someone that would do that to animals. But to drive down the road and throw a puppy out the window, what kind of a low-class caveman would do that?
Well, it just sums up what our society has come to. We're a disposable throwaway, no regard for life, no respect.
Well, we're seeing the same thing happen to our seniors. There's no respect. There's no thank yous. They're in a rest home or whatever. Oh, well, they got COVID. They died. Well, they're going to die anyway. And I'm just livid with the thought of, you hit it on the head. There's no respect. There's no appreciation for what God's given us.
Yeah. That's what it boils down to. No respect.
I appreciate your call, and thank you for calming me down a little bit. I got to admit, and I do...
And I respect you, and thoughts and prayers go out to you and your family.
Not to me, just to Deanne, please. Lift her up in prayer, please. Thank you.
Lift her in prayer.
Thank you.
God bless.
Thank you. Caller, go ahead, please.
Hi, Zeb. COVID stands for Certificate of Vaccination Identification. It's a planned pandemic organized in 2019, implemented in 2020. That's why it's COVID-19.
Okay. And irregardless of all that verbiage, it's not going to go away. It's a virus that's going to be with us. We're going to have to learn to live with it as we do with the flu and we do with other viruses. So are we going to just pull in the rock behind us at the cave? The guy left. Why? Why hang up? I was having a conversation. I don't understand. We're not going to live in a cave and pull the rock in after us and just kind of sit there and go, oh, woe is me. You got to live. You got to live. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. What that lovely lady said a few minutes ago about respect is so true. I fail to understand, and somebody help me on this, how you can have a dog or a cat or horses or anything and disrespect the life and the care for their lives. They are assets that have been given to us by the good Lord above. Some are used as an asset for a business. Some are used and taken care of for sporting events, but they are cared for. And I know in the case of my animals, they absolutely mean so much to me that their health is a prime concern. And whether it is a dog or a rope and steer or a horse, they get the ultimate in care. Ultimate. And for some absolute Neanderthal to drive down a road and throw a puppy out a window, I don't know how tough the laws are. I don't know what they would face if caught as far as criminal sentencing and or fines. Personally, I'd like to see them buried in a hole and have a loaf of bread and water sent down once a day. But that's pond scum. I can't imagine humans acting like that. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I know who you can trust with your hearing health because they help me, and I know they can help you. And that's, of course, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids over in Rupert, behind the Minidoka County Hospital and right across from the emergency room. Caller, don't go away. I'll be right with you. And all you have to do to make an appointment for a hearing screening and let them help you with your hearing health is call 312-0957. 312-0957. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. They are the best. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
A high-pressure system is moving in over the next couple of days, bringing us some warmer temperatures as we move towards Labor Day weekend. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Sunny skies for today, a little bit of a breeze out of the west at about 12 miles an hour. We could have gusts as high as 25 miles an hour. Expecting a high of 87 tonight, nice and clear, still going to be breezy. expecting a low of 51. Tomorrow, sunny skies with a high of 88. Clear for tomorrow night with a low of about 53 as we head towards Friday. Sunny skies, high of 91. 95 for Saturday, and then for Sunday, looking at a high of 90. And that's Look at Your Weather for Zeb at 3 a.m.
Thank you, Gina. Always can depend on Gina for a great weather forecast. Thank you to our sponsor of this weather this hour, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Believe me, they know and they can help you. And everybody has different problems and individual needs with their hearing. They know, and they can help you at Mount Harrison Audiology, 312-0957. Caller, good morning, and thank you for your call.
You bet. Yeah, somebody that can hurt an animal has never, well, they've never had one that they were best friends with. I mean, I rescued a dog here in the wintertime, February, March, and right now that dog, he worships the ground I walk on.
Mm-hmm.
He depends on me for all of his attention, and he's so devoted.
Yep.
And how somebody can hurt another living thing intentionally like that tells me that those people aren't right in the heart.
Well, they're not right in their minds either. They're absolutely losing or lacking some of the genes, I guess you could say, that make them a compassionate human being, and they're not. I think they are control freaks. They want to make sure that they have dominance over animals or beings that can't fight back or can't do anything to stop it. And I look at people like that somebody ought to walk up with a 2x4 and give them a severe personality adjustment.
Well, or throw them out the window of a car going down the road.
That's not a bad thought. That's not a bad thought.
I mean, treat them like they treat the animals. They chain an animal up and don't give it shelter, don't give it hardly any food. Do the same thing to them. Put a big log chain on them and make them stay in a certain area for a while. And, I trained a dog to not kill chickens by taking a chicken and tying it around its neck and making it walk over it for about 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely.
That dog would not even look at a chicken.
I mean, if he saw a foghorn leghorn running at him, that dog's striking a trot the other way.
Exactly, and I think we need to treat the people like they treat, other people or the other animals.
Yeah, but, let's talk a little bit about the crime. Everybody's going to say, I know there's people in the audience, honestly, and it's true, that are sitting there saying, oh, Zeb, it's just a dog. There are people like that. But I want to talk about the crime and the punishment if they're caught. I honestly think that it should be a minimum of a sentence in jail. I think it should be a minimum of a very hefty fine and public service working at a dog shelter.
Exactly. You nailed it right there. That should be the biggest punishment right there. They should have to work for free at an animal shelter for a long time. And I don't know. You can't fix stupid.
I got to tell you, I was at a fair. I'm not going to mention where it was or who was involved. Okay, I'm just going to be very vague on that. This has been quite some time ago. And I was announcing the rodeo at that fair. There were about 3 guys that saw a dog had run away from the owner on a leash. And these 3 supposed tough guys grabbed the dog, and they were kind of throwing the dog back and forth and making the dog go in a wide circle at a run on the leash and waving him around on the leash. And I will never forget this for the rest of my life. I was over by the fair and rodeo office, probably standing about maybe less than 75 yards away. And before anybody could do anything, 2, I'm just going to leave it go as steer wrestlers that were at their horse trailers, saw this. And let me just say that the dog is fine, but the 3 guys weren't.
Good for them. That's good for them. Yep. Hey, and on another subject of the protest, if that's okay if I change gears, have you heard that there was a guy arrested in Portland and in Wisconsin, how do you pronounce that city?
Kenosha.
Kenosha, and Washington, D.C. Same guy arrested at 3 different protests.
Yes. What does that tell you? That the audience should be very perceptive about these are organized anarchists that are absolutely being paid because you ain't going to find the gas money or the plane fare unless somebody's footing the bill.
Exactly. And I hope they find out who it is. And I hope they turf walk them to the jail cell.
Absolutely. You know, I've just lost it with my patience on this thing. I was talking to a person the other day, and our conversation was overheard. And a gentleman walked up. I call him a gentleman, and I mean that term loosely. And he said, "What do you want Trump to do? Take over and be a dictator and put armed guards in every city and just basically have martial law?" And I said, No, I don't want that at all. But what I do want is the anarchists to turn part of the pavement and put them down once and for all very hard so that we can restore law and order in America.
Yeah, and a friend of mine made a suggestion. Whenever you arrest somebody at the, not a protest, a riot, and the thing, when you get arrested, it's not a peaceful deal. You broke the law.
Yep.
So everybody should be put into a big room. Say, okay, when you got $10,000 to get out or $20,000 to get out of jail, and let these people start putting out a lot of money to get them out. Eventually, they're going to say, "Hey, whoa, we can't raise enough money to free these."
Yeah, I mean, these people that are committing these heinous crimes against society must think that it's monopoly board money. They don't have any reality as to what money is because they're being gifted these funds under the table or whatever. And I'm fed up with it, just like you are.
Yeah, and the IRS ought to step in and say, "Okay, you're paying these people. Where's all the taxes you're withholding?"
Good point, Dougie. There you go. Thank you.
Yeah, and then
I got another call, so I got to run, bud. Thanks.
All right, I'll talk to you.
All right, take care, Doug. Thank you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. I got 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay, good morning, Zeb. This will be a quick one. The game plan between the Democratic Party and the Communist Party is the same. Destroy, overcome, and enslave. And that's where it's at.
Tony, why don't you think that people understand this? Why do people kind of look at guys like you and me when that's said, and they kind of raise their eyebrows and they say, you're a right-wing creep. You don't know what you're talking about. Why do people not be able to understand what's going on?
Well, unfortunately, their game plan is football, basketball, and all the entertainment this country has to offer, while the Democratic Party is taking over and the Communist Party is taking over. These people are so engrossed in game plans and playing, they just don't give a damn about what's happening.
I agree.
Because they figure this is the United States and it will never happen here.
Well, welcome to the real world. Wake up out of your slumber and start being aware of what's going on. Unfortunately, they won't. Tony, I always appreciate your remarks. God bless you, man. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Want to remind you about our dear friends, and they are. I tell you what, I think so much of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. That's not part of the commercial. It's my honest opinion. I know all these people, and they are committed to serving you. I mean, they've got farm repair trucks that'll be out there on the farm, the dairy, the ranch, and help you. And you go into one of their 7 locations, and they're always there running out with a smile on their face. How can we serve you? I mean, whether it's your brake service, the very best of brake service, front end alignments, shocks and struts, batteries, and of course all the tires. And they've got all the tread design, all the sizes for all vehicles. I mean, it's all there for you for your driving safety. Underline that word, safety. And above all of that, the word service. They really care about your business, and they take care of you. At your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, James and Buell, Dan on Pole Line in Twin Falls, Lane and Rupert, Mike and Jerome, Dave on Blue Lakes in Twin, the Twist family in Paul, and my dear friend Trent over on Overland in Burley. The best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Again, I want to reiterate how, and I won't talk about the condition of my wife and how she's doing on the air. She's had some severe setbacks and problems. And your thoughts and prayers are definitely appreciated. We'll be back in 7 minutes. And a good morning to you on this Wednesday, September 2nd. Zeb at the Ranch, and of course brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you in a very safe, clean environment, and of course, the best in tires. And, of course, our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, this good word for another great advertiser, Western Waste.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're all at the shore disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this free land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Western Waste Services, get on the route service. Once a week, you'll hear that truck come rolling up to your driveway. And, of course, take your garbage. It's gone. It's out of there. It's so easy to get on the route service. Give them a call, 734-6969. That number again, 734-6969. They absolutely love helping you with your garbage. Western Waste Services. Want to also take the time right now to tell you a little bit about our dear friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, and I cannot wait to start a regular routine back there again with those great folks, Nick Greenwell and all the physical therapists. Absolutely excellent. Highly trained physical therapists that know all the exercises to get you back to being you after a surgery or perhaps after an accident. I urge you to call and make an appointment, 678-1191. That number again, 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Absolutely very, very nice people and very helpful to you. Want to also take a quick note here and a thank you to Hanson Mortuary. Hello, Joel Heward, family and staff, always serving you and your family with the complete high ethical standards and unquestioned integrity. They are there with very flexible hours to provide the families that have suffered the loss of a loved one with the best possible support and comfort. Please write the number down, 436-5636. That number again, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. And don't forget, Joel Heward also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. It's Wednesday, and a very dear friend is coming on the program right now, and I have a lot of respect for not only his entrepreneurship, well, that's a big word, in business, and also his writings. Good morning, Dave Bego, Indianapolis, Indiana.
Good morning, Zeb. I hope you are doing well, and so is Deanne.
Well, as I've said earlier on the program, that's a subject that I'm not going to talk about on the air, but I'll be certainly happy to help you with information afterwards, Dave. I appreciate that. I want to get right to the situation at hand, and there's so many things to talk about. And I thought I would start talking about the hypocrisy, the lunacy, the fraud, and the complete idiocy of the left, where they make dictates and they tell us, the common folk, what we can do, where we can go, whether or not we can go to church, whether or not we can go to a loved one's funeral, whether or not our kids can go to school. But it's all right for Nancy Pelosi to break the law and go get her hair done and blow dried and also not wear a mask.
It's do as I say, not as I do. And, they're hypocrites, Zeb, and the American people need to wake up to that. They want to control us, and that's what they're trying to do.
Have you ever seen anything so completely out of control, Dave? Come on. You and I are basically the same age, and you're a great businessman. But this thing's just rolling like a Ferris wheel that came off the axle, and it's just going out of control. I mean, they're telling us what we can do. They're telling us we can't go to work. They're telling us to close our businesses down. They're telling restaurants and gym owners, and yet they break the law. When are we going to have, and I don't care using this word, it's going to be said, a revolution in this country to where we start acting like the three words of the Constitution, we the people?
Well, people need to stand up, but I think November 4th is going to tell us what it's all about, and because this is all about the election, and they want to bring down the president and the Senate and take control of those two and keep the House, and that way they can turn this country into what they want, like another Venezuela.
Dave, you study things and you write about things in your blog, and I want you to elaborate a little bit on this. I'd never seen anything like this in my life, and I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, to where a man can be the nominee of his party, and he can stay in the basement looking at old copies of Life magazine that have been piled up in the basement for 20 years and still supposedly be ahead in the polls for the presidency of the United States.
Well, I don't trust those polls, and a lot of it is that the media is controlled by the union, so they're also controlling the polls in that too, and the thing about Biden is that the left is inserted themselves into Biden's dementia mind, and they're controlling what he says and what he does, and this stuff's going to continue to go on. And if he gets elected, the people in this country realize he'll be still sitting in his basement. Kamala Harris will be running the country.
You brought up something that I'm glad I want to elaborate on. The only real conversations that we, the public, have seen and or heard have been with Kamala and him talking to each other. Again, not answering questions, not going out on the stump. And I'm really afraid that the Democrats are going to control whether we have a debate or not. Give us your thoughts.
Oh, I think so. I think they're going to stay away from that because they want the American people just to listen to what they're funneling to them through the media and through when Biden, talks online, and that's it. And I see that that's the way it's going to continue. And but I think, Zeb, in the long run, that's going to hurt and help them.
What do you hear on the street? What do you hear at the golf course? What do you hear at your office? What do you hear with other business leaders as far as their honest-to-goodness thoughts about this election, how fraud or corrupt it might be, or who the winner might be? I mean, what are you hearing in the business world?
Well, they believe it's all fraud and what's going on, and this is all geared towards the election, and it's wrong in that. I had breakfast with a businessman this morning, and he says all this stuff we're hearing in COVID and all that's all just tactics the left is using to bring down Trump. And I said, I know. If you read my book, it's the same tactics. He says, Dave, you're right. I read your book. It's exactly the same stuff. That's trying to bring you down.
Absolutely. I will say this, and I mean this. I think some of the character flaws, and please listen to me carefully, some of the character flaws that the left and the demented Democrats have hung on Mike Pence as vice president are completely erroneous. I think Mike Pence has done an outstanding job in the last couple of days of speaking up and speaking out for his administration with Trump. And I would love, and I mean this, I would love to hear him and Kamala Harris go into a debate.
Well, I would too. He'll do the same thing and put things out there that expose that she's not being honest and stuff like that, and he'll get her to garble. And I think that'd be great. But it's I just don't think they'll do it. They believe they can do it through the media and through their virtual stuff, and that's it.
How can they, though, Dave? Honestly, I mean, I've thought a lot about this, whether they will, whether they won't, but how can they legitimately look at America through the lens of a TV camera or the microphone of a radio program and honestly back out of what is a tradition to learn about the person's viewpoints, to learn about their platform, and to find out really how the possible next president of the United States might sound? How can they back out and use anything as an excuse?
Well, because and it's the same thing that the SEIU did against me and my company and other companies, and that is they were out there, and again, it comes back to the socialistic agenda, promising these people, we're going to give you, free health care and free tuition for college and free education and free this and free that, and this is what it's all about, and they get into people's minds and they brainwash them, Zeb, and this is what this is all about. And this is what happened in Venezuela too. And we need to wake up to the fact, and we need to make sure we tell people to stand up and really understand what these people are doing, because they're being hypocrites about what they're saying. They could care less about these people. And if you look at the democratic cities and the people who live in the inner city that live in poverty and all that, and and big case, the black population, it's because they did all this stuff over the last 50 years, saying they're going to do this for them, and they haven't done anything for them. This is what America is going to look if people don't understand who they truly are.
When you start looking at Chicago, you start looking at the absolute slime and sleaze and filth of San Francisco and the state of California in its entirety with a complete lack of leadership. And then you look at New York City, our nation's biggest city, is turning into a ghost town. People are leaving in enormous numbers, walking off their jobs and saying, we are not going to raise our families here. And the increase of crime and murder and shootings and theft and rapes on subway platforms in broad daylight, we are becoming the most godless society I've ever heard of.
It is, Zeb. You're 100% right, but this is who they are, and they don't care about the people at all. They don't care about us. It's all about them. And as I've said many times, don't listen to what they say. Look at what they do and what they've done, and that tells you the whole story. And this is what they're going for in this, and we, the American people, need to stand up and stop them and have some backbone.
Well, okay, but again, Dave, we've talked about this. You say we've got to stand up and show some backbone, but there's got to be some kind of power to fight back against the looting, the shootings, the rapes, etc. You can't just say, well, we're going to beat them at the ballot box. I honestly feel, and I mean this, and I'm going to stand behind this, that a lot of people are going to criticize me for saying, oh boy, you do this and you declare martial law, you're done, you're toast, and Trump's going to become a dictator. It's got to stop soon. We cannot allow these cities across the United States, Albuquerque, Chicago, Seattle, Portland, over 3 months of violence and burning and looting. You can't continue to just say we're going to wait till November and wait for the ballots to do the dictating. We've got to stop this.
Well, and that's why Trump is pushing to put federal troops into these places and stop this stuff. And he's really going after the mayors and governors of these places, and and he needs to continue to do it and protect these people. it's sad, and and then with the Black Lives Matters thing and everything that's out there, they're behind all this too. Because when you look back, and I wrote some blogs on this years ago, the Black Lives Matter is really started back in like 2012, 2013, and the people that support it, the big one was Soros, who donated $33 million to support him. And the SIU was in hand with Soros at the time. And, you look at Soros and who he is and what he's done in his life, and, unions, their whole process is they want to bring down this country and control it.
I don't know what the attitude is back in Indianapolis with your Indianapolis Pacers professional basketball team or the Indianapolis Colts football team. But I have lost any and all respect for professional athletes that will walk off the court or the field when they are the most high-paid, underworked prima donnas in our society today. When you put 22 men on a football field, offense and defense, and you've got most all of them making well in excess of $3 to $4 million a year, and yet they're going to dictate politically what goes on and whether or not they're going to work. This is insane.
It is, Zeb, and a lot of people, and including myself, we really don't want to go to the games anymore and stuff like that. But here's the other side of it. You got to understand that in all these sports, these players are controlled by the unions, and the unions are out there brainwashing these guys too, because these guys didn't get into the high-paying jobs they did because they were highly educated, smart people that business people that had been through stuff. They just played sports, and that's what got them where they're at. And the unions know they can control them and dictate them, and that's what's going on. Yeah, they're telling them what to do.
I agree with everything you're saying. We're on the same page. But you take a multi-millionaire like LeBron James, barely made it out of high school, and because of his athletic ability and prowess as a basketball player, he is now one of the richest athletes ever in the history of the United States, coming out as a racist against white people and condemning white people, standing up there and really blossoming for Black Lives Matter. I have no use for these people, and they are biting the hand that fed them, the United States of America.
Well, I agree, but they're part of the left, and who controls them, and doesn't matter how much money they make. They've been brainwashed since they were in high school and moving up through college and into pro sports, and people have to understand that they don't really understand what's going on. They don't get it.
You know what, and I'll say this, and I'll be criticized for it, but I don't care. If it weren't for basketball, I'm just making a supposition, but if it weren't for basketball, where would LeBron James be today, a man in his later 30s? Would he be standing on a street corner selling drugs? What would he be doing? Because basketball saved him, the United States saved him, the NBA saved him, and his talent in basketball is the only thing he's really got going for himself.
Yeah, it's sad, Zeb, but that's the case, and these people don't realize how fortunate they are to make it where they're at based on their athletic skills and not the rest of the skills they need to be successful, good Americans.
You mentioned Black Lives Matter a minute ago, and I just want to talk about this a little bit. There are now a new committee. This'll really tear at you a little bit. I'm sure you probably heard about it. There's a new committee that has been established, and this powerful committee is going to study statues and historical monuments, and this committee is going to make a decision as to whether they stay up or they get torn down. What's going on here?
It's what they want things to look like, and where they want this country to go, and what they don't understand is people really need to understand the history and how we got where we're at today, where we truly are an opportunistic society for all people, black, white, whatever. And it's not a matter of controlling people and giving them stuff. It's a matter of them educating them to get out and work hard and persevere and be good people and do good things. And that's what will make their life great. And but they don't want to do that. They want to, again, I'll come back again, they want to be another Venezuela.
You know, you use the words, and boy, I love those two words, work hard and persevere. You did. I did. It wasn't white privilege. We worked hard and persevered. What's so much better about those people that they can get a tin cup and have it all handed to them?
It's because they're in a position where they, Zeb, that the left knows if they give this stuff to these people, they'll be on their side, and they'll do what they want. And these people just don't understand. At the end of the day, it's going to be it's going to downgrade them. It's not going to move them forward and upwards.
Well, you know, Black Lives Matter. I have no use at all or any good verbiage at all to share about Black Lives Matter. They are a Marxist, communist / socialist, whatever you want to say, a group. They even went so far. They even went so far as to destroy and deface a monument to Elvis Presley at Graceland, and they threw paint on it and everything else and had racial overtones. These are the sleaziest, slimiest people I've ever heard of in my life.
Yeah, it's sad, and unfortunately, a lot of them have been brainwashed too, Zeb, and you know, and it's been happening for the last 7, 8, 9 years, and they're going to continue to use these type of people behind the scenes to do this stuff and tear this country up.
Your final thoughts in regards to, if you were to project, looking ahead to the November 3rd election, with the status of what's going on now, with, I would say, a dug-in Democratic Party that knows they've made a lot of oops, and especially a big oops with Joe Biden, what are your thoughts?
Well, I believe the American people are going to stand up and reelect President Trump and the Senate majority, and I think that's an important thing to happen. And then hopefully Trump and the Republicans in the Senate will move this country ahead and really improve things, and you know, get these people to understand that they need to get out and work hard and persevere and do things, and you know, because you even have black people that have great businesses that have had to close them down because of this pandemic, which is being pushed by the left.
Yes.
And other thing. And I think they're starting to understand, and we need to teach them even more.
Dave, I can't tell you how much your friendship means and coming on this program, etc. Thank you very much, and I wish you the very best week. Author and great businessman, and above all, a friend. Dave Bego, Indianapolis, Indiana, thank you so much.
Thank you, and God bless you and your wife.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen, I always look forward to Wednesdays. He is a straight shooter, and I really appreciate him. Just like I appreciate the folks at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. I got to tell you, I haven't been eating much lately, and every time I think about Denny's, the food there is delicious. One word sums it up. And when you go in, sit down at the table, and they hand you the menu, and you look at all the choices, whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or all the desserts, whoa, you're going to have a hard time making that decision. Everything is great, everything delicious at Denny's, and the people are so kind and so nice and helpful. So, stop in today. 611 North Overland in Burley, and also 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant. And a quick shout out to our friends over at Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. Oh, get your motor running. Turn the key on. Head for the hills. Boy, would I like to. And get out of Dodge City. I'm telling you what, they've got all the side-by-sides and the four-wheelers. And, boy, it is a showroom that is jam-packed packed with fun. I still do not know how they got everything in there. And, of course, along with this at Let's Ride, they've got all the accessories to go with your side-by-sides and four-wheelers. So stop in, see them today. And if you have a little problem mechanically with anything, they've got a super service department to keep you running. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 2. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, where the fun is sold. Oh, and by the way, if you're over in that area, I got to brag a little bit about our dear friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Todd and his staff are so dedicated and devoted to serving you and making sure that you're taken care of, you, your family, your business, with the best of life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits. They really care. They really do care, and they're focused on your successful future. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Now, here's the number to call, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance. You stop in or give them a call today, 436-4424. On the phone line right now, we have never had this gentleman on the program, and I'm very honored to have him take time this morning to come on the program. And his visit with us today is thanks to a very dear friend of mine, Senator Kelly Anthon. And I say good morning to Idaho State Police Colonel Kedrick Wills. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Mr. Wills, may I ask, if you're on a speakerphone, can we curtail the speakerphone and do a handheld? Would that work, please?
Is that better?
Much better. Thank you, sir.
You bet.
I appreciate your coming on the program this morning because I'm going to say right up front, and I'm very blunt on this program, I am a loyal supporter of the police forces, whether they're city, whether they're county sheriff, or whether they're Idaho State Police. I think that everything that's going on in this country had better turn the corner and make a U-turn and go back the way it should be for respect of our police before it is long too late. What are your thoughts?
Well, Zeb, I appreciate you starting with that, and I couldn't agree more. I think we have in our profession, certainly every profession has a few bad apples, but I believe that we have a better trained and better educated police force throughout our nation right now than perhaps ever before, and I'm really proud of the brave men and women that go out every day and put their lives on the line for you and I. And I know that your family's no stranger to putting their life on the line, as your son serves with as a firefighter. So you very well know what happens and the stress that those that put their life on the line for others undergo.
You know, Colonel, you talk about my son. He is an assistant captain for the Boise Fire Department, and it's true. Every time they go to a fire, I mean, there's a danger today of these kooks and crackpots and ne'er-do-wells that want to do damage and injury to fire department employees and also police forces. I mean, what happened to our society to get to this low point of the United States?
You know, I'm certainly not an expert on the society, but I've been with the Idaho State Police for about 25 years now. In fact, I started down in your area. I started down in the Burley Rupert area as a patrol trooper. And as I've seen the difference between then in our society and my roles, between then and now what we're facing, it seems to me that there's just a lack of overall respect, not just for law enforcement, but for each other, and perhaps for ourselves. Maybe we're not respecting, we don't have as much respect for ourselves as we should, and certainly not for each other or each other's property. You know, that when we see people that are justifying criminal behavior, I just cannot understand. We are a nation of laws, and I cannot understand how that gets justified, that it's okay to break these laws in the name of political reform or whatever the name that they're using.
You know, Colonel, how do we restore that respect? I'm not trying to put you on the spot, please, but how do we restore a respect for our humanity, our civilization? I mean, I just heard this morning a story that just turns my stomach over. I've had animals all my life, whether it's roping steers, horses, dogs, whatever, and I hear a story where some clown that absolutely is worthless threw a puppy out of a vehicle onto a highway. I mean, what kind of loss of respect, and how do we get it back?
Yeah, I wish I had all of the answers, but I think at least a portion of the answer is for good people who are really good, hardworking Americans to stand up and say, we've had enough. We've had enough of the lawlessness. We've had enough of the lack of respect, and this is not the nation that we want to be a part of. We want to be a part of the nation that is respectful of each other, respectful of our laws and our rules, and certainly that story you shared. I think you're speaking of the one out of Nampa.
Yes.
That one of our troopers was right there, luckily, and was able to get that puppy down to the Humane Society and get it cared for, and it looks like it's going to be okay. In fact, I just saw this morning that it was reunited with its owner, and so we're really thankful for that. That puppy is going to be okay. But you're right, that is indicative of what we're seeing as a culture, and I wish I had all the answers, but I think we are still a nation and certainly a state. I'm so glad we live in Idaho. We are a state full of good people that are just good, hardworking people who want to raise their families in this kind of a society. And I think for them to stand up and say, we've had enough, I think is the answer.
Colonel, let me ask you this question then. We are seeing such a mockery made of our laws and the court system. I think that the revolving turnstile at the courts is absolutely ridiculous. How are we going to get law in a prestigious place again if we don't make it tougher on the criminals to not commit the crime in the first place?
Yeah, I agree with you, Zeb, and I wish I had the answer to that. But I think that we, as I look around nationally, certainly in Idaho, we're not where we would like to be as relates to this, but I think we're a lot better off in Idaho than we are. Well, I know we're a lot better off in Idaho than we are in many other states. As I speak to my counterparts who lead state police and highway patrol agencies in other states throughout the nation, I am so thankful that I am in Idaho and that we have chosen to raise our family here, and I was raised here with these values that we hold dear. And I think that if we are going to be able to continue to be successful in Idaho, that's what we've got to do. I think that we've got to be able to continue to hold the lawbreaker liable and hold them accountable for what they're doing, but at the same time provide them an avenue so that they can get back into mainstream society. It does not do our society any good to lock them up and don't provide them with the tools to be able to get back into mainstream society once they've paid their debt to society. And so I think we are doing a pretty good job of that, at least better than what I hear my peers at a national level.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this. Let's go back to the stepladder of law, if you will. We have our local police forces in the cities and communities, and then we have our county sheriffs, and then the state police. How and why and where and when does it go to the level where you as a state policeman are involved in certain crimes? Give us how you work with the other law enforcement agencies.
Well, I'm so glad you asked that question because a lot of people don't understand how that works, and I appreciate the opportunity to explain it. So you're absolutely correct. The way in every state is set up a little bit different. The way our state is set up, and many states in the West are, by our state constitution, the elected sheriff of the county is the highest constitutionally elected official in his or her county. That's the way our constitution is set up. And so the ultimate law enforcement, if you will, officer of the county is the elected sheriff. So then you may ask, well, where does the state police or city police fit in with that? And the reality is that sheriff's offices do not have the ability, in many cases, or the personnel to be able to do everything that needs to be done in their county. So cities have formed city police departments to do the city police work, and then the state police. Most people think of the Idaho State Police as the black and white cars going up and down the highway making sure we're not speeding, or making sure that we're reducing crashes, or making sure that we're being safe on the roadways. Well, that is certainly a big part of our function, and trying to, right now, our biggest issue in our state with that piece on our patrol division is, as it relates to car crashes, is aggressive driving. So following too close, speeding, speed too fast for conditions. I know that's no stranger as the first snow falls in the Magic Valley. Failed to yield, failed to obey a stop sign. Those kinds of things are what our patrol, DUIs, our patrol troopers are focused on those kinds of traffic safety issues and make all of us safer. But that is one, while it's the biggest division of the state police, that is one aspect of the state police. We also have an investigative office in every district, and their role is to combat the narcotics issues throughout the state, and also to assist county and city agencies if they have a crime that they either don't have the resources for or don't have the expertise for or something like that. Then we can assist them when they call on us to do so. In addition to that, we have our forensics labs. So the Idaho State Police is the only full-service forensic lab system in Idaho, and we have 3 labs, one in Coeur d'Alene, one in Meridian, and one in Pocatello, that help us and about 88% of all the work we do in our labs are not state police cases, but they're cases for city and county, and in some cases federal agencies who need that work done. The brand inspectors. I know you're very well familiar with our brand inspectors,
yes,
with the livestock and the life you lead there. And our brand inspectors in Idaho are under the Idaho State Police. They're a division of the Idaho State Police. So we do a myriad of other things other than the black and white car, though that's the most visible that the public sees. Our sex offender registry is managed by the Idaho State Police. The Bureau of Criminal Identification. So if you ever have your fingerprints taken for a job, for example, a school teacher, a substitute school teacher, or any of the jobs that require fingerprints, those are managed and housed at the Idaho State Police. So it's really, we try to fill in the gaps there on the statewide functions that, while the county sheriff has the ultimate authority in his or her county, we try to fill in the gaps that need to be done at a statewide level.
I am so impressed, and I mean that, when I am around state policemen, their professionalism and their very courteous manner and the way they conduct themselves. One of my best friends, and that's Dave Neal, that's retired, and Dave and I used to rope together quite a bit. And when I look at the state police, and they always look so trim and so proper and everything, it's got to be hard today to try to find recruits to fill the positions, is it not?
Well, it is. We're nowhere near where we once were. When I joined the state police in 1996, I think we had somewhere around 1,200 applicants for 12 positions.
Wow.
And now we're having 200 to 400 applicants for 12 or 20 positions. So the numbers certainly don't bear out what they once did, but I think that's a trend, what we're seeing nationally. And again, as I talk to my counterparts in other states, I say, wow, we're really having a hard time recruiting. We only had 400 applicants or 500 applicants for this many positions, and these other colonels from other states similar in size to us are saying, man, I would love to have those kind of numbers. So while we're not where we want to be, I'm glad we're not where other states are either. And I appreciate you bringing up Captain Neal's name. He was my first captain. When I started as a patrol trooper down in Burley, I worked for Captain Neal.
Well, he's been a dear friend of mine, but what do you tell people? I mean, when you go to visit maybe a school, or maybe you have a conference with some people that are very interested in getting into police work, but boy, with the fear and the lack of respect for police officers today, what do you tell them as far as trying to twist their arm a little bit to get into law enforcement?
One of the things a couple of things that we share with prospective people who think they may want to get into law enforcement is we invite them to come out and ride with our state troopers, see what they do, really get a ground level look at what our troopers do, and see if it's a right fit, because it really needs to be a right fit. Just like living on the ranch. There's people that's a great fit for them, and they want to live on. I grew up in Glens Ferry, so I understand about rural living. And for some people, that's a great fit, and there are other people that's just not a good fit. And this career really needs to be a good fit for the lifestyle. It's a very different lifestyle, the lifestyle of a law enforcement officer, and so we want to make sure it's a good fit. The other thing is, because our background process is fairly extensive for the state police and for most agencies, we try to get to them young and let them know there are decisions you're making right now in high school that could preclude you from ever being able to wear the badge of an Idaho State Trooper. So you need to make sure that the decisions you're making right now give you the most opportunities you can have as you move forward, because our background process is such that there's things that if you've made those decisions even at the high school level, you may never be able to be a state trooper. And so we try to get that message out young to our young folks, to let them know if you think this may want to be an option, boy, don't kick yourself out of the process in high school by making silly decisions.
Absolutely. So well stated. Thank you for that. What about the funding for the Idaho State Police? I remember a couple of years ago on my program, I had some people say that it was really getting difficult with the lack of funding for our Idaho State Police and other facets of our government. What about today? Are you in better economical shape?
Well, our state, as a state, we are in the best economic shape, I think, of any state out there. But I don't think we're certainly not in the economic shape we would want to be right now. But we have right now with the Idaho State Police, certainly our state is not, the economy of our state is not at what we thought it would be pre-COVID, of course. But we have a phenomenally supportive governor. Governor Little understands the rule of law, is very supportive of the Idaho State Police and peace officers in general. And so we enjoy great support there, and we have really solid support from our legislature, very solid support, specifically at the leadership level in our House and Senate and throughout the legislature. We have very good support, and they understand the important life-saving and life-changing mission that we have here at the Idaho State Police.
Colonel, I want to ask you this final thought. In today's age, the police cannot be everywhere at the drop of a hat, especially in rural areas. What would you tell my audience about protecting themselves, their families, and their property? What can they do, can't they do, and what should they do?
Well, you're absolutely right. We're spread pretty thin. And, in fact, I always joke that if you get a ticket from an Idaho State Trooper, you should consider yourself very lucky because there's not many of us. People don't seem to think that's as funny as I do. But one of the things that they can do is very simply lock up their stuff, lock up their possessions, lock up their equipment. Those kinds of things are very, very easy things to do to try and curb off those things. It's very simple for me, at least in rural living. I'm not sure how old I was before I knew our cars or our house even had door locks, because I know that was a different time when I was growing up in rural Idaho. But gosh, it's really easy to get complacent and leave the keys in the pickup because you're just running into wherever or get in that habit. But if we can get in the habit of locking up our vehicles and locking up our valuables, keeping our valuables out of place, out of sight, would be really, really helpful as well. So to curb those break-ins and locking up our equipment and those kinds of things are very helpful. And then, of course, if they see anything that is out of the ordinary that they need checked up on, to call right away so somebody can check on that.
We've only got a minute left, and I'm going to take about 30 seconds for a phone call. Quickly, caller, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, you say that there aren't many of you out there, but I just want you to know that if you guys ever get in trouble, there's a whole bunch of us behind you. And don't be afraid to put out a call for help if you need it.
That's very well stated. Colonel, your response.
Thank you so much, and we feel that support from Idahoans. I have personally had Idahoans check on me in situations out by myself in the middle of nowhere where I am so thankful they stopped to check, and we feel that support and are so thankful we have that in our state. It's one of the things that makes Idaho great.
I want to say to you, Colonel, I hope you'll come back in the future and be a guest on this program. I really respect what you're doing and how you're trying to get it done. Colonel Kedrick Wills with the Idaho State Police, thank you for taking the time to come on the show this morning.
Thanks, Zeb. I'll be on any time you'd like me to. Thanks so much for the opportunity.
All right, sir. God bless. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed having him on the program this morning, Colonel Kedrick Wills with the Idaho State Police. Thank you. Time for the weather. Oh, boy, I'm running late again. A weather forecast brought to you this hour by the Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. And they, of course, provide accounting services to the Mini-Cash area, and they have for well over 50 years. They know what they're doing, let me tell you, serving you, your family, and your business. Don't forget tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, retirement planning, all of this and so much more from the professionals. With offices in Burley and Rupert, Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
A high-pressure system is moving in over the next couple of days, bringing us some warmer temperatures as we move towards Labor Day weekend. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Sunny skies for today, a little bit of a breeze out of the west at about 12 miles an hour. We could have gusts as high as 25 miles an hour. expecting a high of 87. Tonight, nice and clear. Still going to be breezy. Expecting a low of 51. Tomorrow, sunny skies with a high of 88. Clear for tomorrow night with a low of about 53 as we head towards Friday. Sunny skies, high of 91. 95 for Saturday, and then for Sunday, looking at a high of 90. And that's Look at Your Weather for Deborah Duran.
Thank you very much, Gina. Well done. And the weather brought to you by Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And don't forget the best of accounting services to help you with offices at 1710 Overland in Burley and 620 5th Street in Rupert. Work with the best, the professionals. Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Holy cow. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. At 10:06 this morning, we're going to be visiting with RCAF CEO, and that's Bill Bullard up in Montana. And then at 10:30 this morning, we have a special guest coming on the program with Jerry Voss is going to be over in our studio at the Rupert location. So we got a lot of things cooking. Don't forget... Excuse me, I got that frog in my throat and I can't get rid of it. Patterson's Electronics at 421 East Main in Burley. Oh, Curtis and Lorena, they know all about electronics. Yes, they study it daily. They know everything about home theater systems, everything about video surveillance cameras, everything about car stereos and speakers, everything about all the sound systems, and everything about all their TVs, from Samsung, Sony, Toshiba, LG TVs. Wow. I mean, they're complete, everyday students of what's going on in their world with electronics. Patterson's Electronics, 421 East Main in Burley. Number to call, 678-6997, and they are open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6. Whew. You know, there was a story that I just overheard quickly this morning as I was getting ready for the program, and it goes right along with our having Colonel Kedrick Wills on our program this morning a few moments ago with the Idaho State Police. A high school coach, football coach, and also a policeman passed away recently, and the high school students from this local town, they absolutely were devastated with the passing of this coach and policeman. He had worked so much and so hard for the betterment of his community. And they decided that they were all going to get together on the track at the high school football field, and they were going to take a Blue Lives Matter flag and march around in honor of the coach and this policeman. And the school administration stopped them. They stopped them. These kids that wanted to do right, these kids that wanted to honor this coach policeman, they were stopped by a cowardly school administration that they told them, no, you'd better not walk out anywhere with that flag because it is too divisive and might offend someone. Let that soak in. Here was a man that was a coach that was loved by his players and the students. Here was a man that was also a policeman that helped serve his community. Here was a man that was respected as a policeman. And here is a milquetoast, cowardly, absolutely worthless school administration that says to these kids, put the Blue Lives Matter flag down. It might offend someone. And then you think our society is not going to hell? I want to remind you that there are many, many places to go eat, and if you're hungry and starving to death, I'm just going to name a few of those to you right now this morning. They include AC Drive-In at 601 East Main in Burley. Oh, they've got all the kids' meals. Yeah, they got all the kids' meals. They got all the chicken nuggets and the half small fry and the drink. And they've got all the burgers and the cheeseburgers. And they've got, oh, my favorite, that famous Farmer Brown burger. Sink your grinners into that. It is delicious. Absolutely a wonderful business that's been here for over 55 years. AC Drive-In, 601 East Main in Burley. Let's head on over to Taco Bandito, 2301 Overland in Burley. And believe me, they're back to normal with the best of food for you and your family. And starting early in the morning for a great place to go for coffee and one of those delicious breakfast burritos. Scrambled eggs, sausage, and bacon, combination of both. Oh, it's delicious. Cheese, onions, tomato sauce on a tortilla shell. Oh, man, I'm drooling. Along with all the other great menu choices for you at Taco Bandito, 2301 Overland in Burley. Next, let's head on over to not one but two locations of Burgers Etc. Oh boy, 124 South Oneida in Rupert and 700 Overland in Burley. Let me tell you, they've even got in the afternoon corn dogs and burritos for just $1.29. Are you kidding me? Along with all the delicious burgers, shakes, everything at Burgers Etc. And nice people serving you at Rupert and Burley, Burgers, etc. Last but not least, let's head over to Steve-O's Food, made the way you love it, at 290 South, 600 West of Heyburn. And steaks. Oh, delicious steaks. The most tender fillets, favorites of ribeye and tasty sirloins. I am drooling. And don't forget, weather permitting, on the weekends, live music. I mean, man, all the menu choices, all the great desserts, and really friendly people serving you at Steve-O's in Heyburn. And those are just a few great places to go when you're hungry and starving to death. I am. We are going to take a little break in just a moment and send it to CBS News and then come back with Bill Bullard of RCAF USA. And again, tomorrow I am not going to be here. I am going to take the day off and have Sharon do the program so that I can spend more time with my wife at the hospital. And, of course, on Monday, being Labor Day, I will not be on the air. Again, trying to do my best to help support her. And so I just wanted to make you aware that Sharon will be running the program tomorrow in my stead. And I thank God for her taking over the show tomorrow. And please call her and keep her busy, if you would, please. Right now, let's go to CBS News. And a good morning and welcome back on this September 2nd, Wednesday. Holy cow, September 2nd already? My goodness, where did the summer go? It is gone. Brought to you this morning, Zeb at the Ranch, by our major sponsor. Of course, that's your Magic Valley. Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with a very safe, clean environment and the best in tires. Along with our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Before we go any further with our next guest, I also want to acknowledge the fact that Greystone Crossing Senior Living is a 12-bedroom home, absolutely made for seniors so they can live with their friends, enjoy each other's company at 1221 21st Street in Heyburn. Absolutely 3 meals a day, snacks, housekeeping, local transportation, all included in the rent. And I'll tell you, it's a beautiful, beautiful place. Call Matt or Kelly Wiggins today at 650-4979. That number again, 650-4979. And they'll make an appointment time for you to see the facility. Greystone Crossing Senior Living on El Fresco Road. You call them today. Want to also urge you to call some other folks, and that's 7K Metals. Boy, oh boy, silver is going up in its value, and you can have silver purchases sent right to your home. Absolutely, through 7K Metals, you can help build yourself your own financial security and future, and it's a great saving opportunity, and also a valued treasure for your loved ones. So check it out today. Contact Lon Hardy at 312-8699. Or Sharon at 430-3259. And I really urge you to tell them I told you to call. They will help you creating your own security bank through silver purchases with 7K Metals. Ladies and gentlemen, every association in the livestock or agricultural field should have a person, a spokesperson, and a person working for them like this man. He knows what he's doing, and he's very good at what he does. The CEO of RCAF USA, Mr. Bill Bullard. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fine. Thank you, Zeb.
Bill, since we last visited, we were talking about RFID tags and everything else going on in the livestock industry, along with the origin labeling, etc. What's going on that needs to be addressed in front of the public this morning?
Well, what's happening to the cattle industry is that the packers are using the model that they have perfected in the poultry and the hog industries in order to capture control over the entire live cattle supply chain. You know, just in 1990, which is not that long ago, we had over 265,000 independent hog producers scattered all across America. And they were providing economic activity that supported the rural communities. And in just 20 years, we reduced the number by eliminating about 200,000 of those in what the packers considered pesky hog farmers. And so now we have an industry that is skeletonized, it's industrialized, and it lacks any resiliency. It's no longer controlled by family farmers. It's now controlled by the corporate officers in smoke-filled rooms, if you will. And so when the pandemic hit, the hog industry could not keep hogs out of the marketplace. In other words, they were on an industrial assembly line, and when the hogs began to back up, when the packers were unable to continue the high level of slaughter, they had to euthanize, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of hogs. That did not happen in the cattle industry, and that's because the cattle industry still consists largely of family farm and ranch cattle producers who are making their own decisions, who are operating in a free market economy, and who are not tied to that industrial assembly line as are the poultry and hog producers. So the packers are now looking at the cattle industry as the last frontier, and they're attempting to do to our industry exactly what they did to the other industries. And the way to do that is to thin the number of participants, eliminate the many, many cattle producers. And we're already losing, almost 10,000 a year. And so this problem has got to be reversed, and the only way to reverse it is to fundamentally change the policies in Washington. We need to fundamentally begin supporting the family farm and ranch system of agriculture, which was the envy of the world for decades. But now we've allowed the industrial model to supplant what is the most efficient and productive system known in the world, and we're headed in completely the wrong direction. So there are specific policy objectives that we need to make. Number one, we need country of origin labeling, so the U.S. cattle producer can distinguish their superior beef product in the marketplace, and so U.S. consumers can choose to support the American rancher by purchasing USA beef. Secondly, we need to protect the integrity of the most important market we have in the entire cattle industry, and that's the fed cattle cash market. But the packers have done to it exactly what they did to the hog industry. They thinned the cash market to the point where it could no longer establish a competitive price for hogs or cattle, and as a result, it gave the packers considerable leverage over the prices of cattle. That's why today we're seeing seriously depressed cattle prices, while at the same time the meat packers continue to make record margins, and the consumer is paying near record prices for beef. The marketplace is fundamentally broken, has to be fixed. The first step in fixing that marketplace is Senate Bill 3693, introduced by Senator Grassley, Republican from Iowa, and Senator John Tester, Democrat from Montana. The bill would force the packers to participate in that most important cash market at the level of at least 50%. At least 50% of all the cattle the packers procure must be purchased in the cash market if this bill passes, and it must pass. If not, we're going to continue seeing this complete fracture between the relationship of the value of live cattle and the price that consumers are paying for beef in the grocery store.
You know, Bill, you've been on this program for a long, long time, and let me ask you very bluntly, it seems to me, and tell me if I'm wrong, that every day or every week or every month when I read something about happening to the cattle industry, it seems like a manipulative demise that's being forced upon U.S. animal agriculture. Do you see the same thing I do as kind of a sinister approach, or what's going on here?
Well, the whole effort to capture control of the entire live cattle supply chain away from the 750,000 cattle producers we have is, in fact, a sinister activity, and it must be stopped. But the meat packers were very, very smart, because not only are they following the model of the market structure that they had perfected in the hog and poultry industries, they also followed the model of infiltrating the lobbying groups that used to represent the independent producer. So the packers, in other words, they gained seats and became a part of the National Pork Producers Council. So they convinced Congress that the packers represent the producers, when in fact the packers have infiltrated and taken over the producer organization. Same thing in the National Cattlemen's Association. In the mid-'90s, the packers merged with the Producer Association, and now they dictate policies. So it looks like the entire machine is working against the independent producer, and many independent producers still don't recognize this. They don't recognize that the organizations that purport to represent their interests are really helping the packer to capture control over the live cattle supply chain. That's why you have the National Cattlemen's Beef Association opposing such a common-sense legislation piece as mandatory country of origin labeling. That's why they oppose any efforts to force the packers to restore the integrity of the cash market. And that's why they're supporting animal identification, the RFID ear tag, to be forced upon producers. We have got to change this, and really the answer lies in the producers themselves. If they continue supporting the organizations that are working against their economic interests, we're going to lose this battle, and we can't afford to lose this battle, and that's why RCAP is fighting so hard to reverse the process.
Where are the politicians on this? It seems to me in many cases, way too many, regarding agriculture, they are deaf and dumb and blind to really what the problems are and what should be done. What about our political so-called leadership? Where are they?
Well, you know, President Trump described those who are influencing our members of Congress as the swamp. And the swamp is alive and well in the agricultural industry. So the members of Congress continue listening to the NCBA and to the meat packers organizations, thinking that they still represent the interests of independent producers. So they have essentially been held at bay. They have been halted from making any meaningful reforms that would restore opportunities for independent producers. And again, the only way to correct that is if the independent producers break away from those organizations that are harming their financial interests and begin on their own to call their members of Congress and say, you're listening to the wrong group. You're listening to those who have brought us to the very brink of disaster that we're at today. And Zeb, we're going to lose thousands, if not tens of thousands of cattle producers as a result of today's market conditions. We're not going to be able to save all of those who are feeling the economic cost price squeeze of seriously depressed cattle prices while beef demand remains high, while exports remain high, and while consumers continue to pay these near record prices for beef. We've got to change this, and we have to change it fast. Otherwise, the American rancher, as we know him or her today, will disappear from our landscape in America.
What are we going to do? I mean, what would you want the listening audience and the general public to do? I mean, people today, unfortunately, are so apathetic and they don't take care or take charge of their life and jump in and do something. What can we do?
Well, they have to begin calling their members of Congress, and they have to begin being very assertive and tell the members they're listening to the wrong groups. Rural America is being torn apart, and the reason is because Congress has done nothing. They have got to tell Congress, you need to restore mandatory country of origin labeling for all beef sold in America. They need to do it immediately, and they need to restore the integrity of the cattle market so independent producers continue to have an opportunity to earn a profit in this industry. In today's condition, that's not possible for many, many cattle producers. So people have to call their members of Congress, even if they're not cattle producers. They understand, Buy American is important, but consumers can't buy American if there's no label on the beef that distinguishes the USA product. And so even consumers should get on the phone and call their members of Congress and ask at least that Congress immediately pass mandatory country of origin labeling. And then they can say, you need to stop listening to the groups who have torn our cattle industry apart and start listening to those who are offering reforms, like Senator Grassley and Senator Tester.
What about the states by state across the western portion of the United States, whether it's South Dakota with Governor Kristi Noem or our governor, Governor Brad Little? What about contacting the governors on behalf of producers? I mean, what power play can we put forth?
Well, the real decision makers for the cattle industry lie in Washington, D.C. It's our members of Congress, and it's the federal agencies. The federal agencies are less receptive, so Congress needs to be responsive to the citizens. So that's the number one approach. The governors and the state legislators are important, but they're not addressing federal national policy. And we must change the federal policy, because that's the policy that is eliminating the opportunities for independent producers. So getting the governor's support for this would be very important. So it depends on how much time an individual has. The most important calls are to their members of Congress, but they have to be assertive. They shouldn't call and ask what the member's position is. They should call and tell the congressman or woman exactly what they want them to do and that you expect them to do it. Otherwise, rural America is going to continue to hollow out like we've seen for the last several decades. But then, if you've got the time, also call your governor's office and let them know that the governor needs to step in and needs to help you influence your members of Congress to do what needs to be done to change the trajectory of our entire U.S. cattle industry.
Do we have, on behalf of animal agriculture, Bill, do we have enough power left? I mean, our numbers have been dwindling and dissipating. Is there enough power if people will help themselves and fight back?
There's always the opportunity to make improvement. But as you said, the people have to fight back. So the people have to get involved. If they continue to be apathetic, we know what's going to happen. We know what the trajectory is. We've been losing cattle producers for decades. We've been reducing the size of our cattle herd for decades. We've been eliminating independent feedlots for decades. These are all downward trends. We know the outcome if we do nothing. So it has to be that producers have to begin talking to their consuming neighbors and the Main Street businesses in rural America. And everybody needs to continue fighting for the same thing. We have to fight for change. We cannot continue down the path we're on. It is leading rural America to destruction.
You know, I'm looking at this thing and trying to understand everything in its complete comprehension, and I see this as a domino effect. Tell me if I'm wrong. I see this as a domino effect that could not only take away the local producers and hurt the local communities, but your county fairs and your state fairs and everything would be basically non-existent if we don't help prevent the ruination of the livestock industry.
Well, that's exactly right, and particularly in the West, in the western part of the United States, in the arid West, livestock are key to the economic survival of every rural community. And if we allow the packers to thin the herd, meaning to eliminate the participants in the cattle industry, and we allow them to capture what are very considerable profits to be made in the industry, the problem is the profits are being siphoned off away from the producers and into the hands of the multinational meat packers and all of their allies. So you're right. We're seeing a dwindling activity in rural America. We're seeing it at the state fairs, county fairs, and that's because we've been eliminating so many cattle producers from the industry. And at some point, Zeb, we're going to reach the point of no return. We will lose the critical mass of producers needed to maintain a competitive industry.
Give us the bill number again and tell everybody who and where they should call, please.
Well, they should go to our website at r-calfusa.com or call us at 406-252-2516. The number of members matter. We have about 6,000 members now. We think we need about 10,000 in order to be effective enough to accomplish the key objectives that we're fighting to achieve.
Bill, I want to thank you for coming on the program this morning. I said it earlier, and I mean it, that if all associations had a man as diligent as you are, we'd all be a lot better off in agriculture. RCAF CEO Bill Bullard, thank you for being on the show.
My pleasure, Seth. God bless.
God bless. Thank you, sir. Boy, we've got to help protect the local producers. I am sick and tired about hearing about all the big corporates, and I'm sick and tired about taking over and the elimination of the little guy. The little guy built this nation, and we can't see them be pushed out of existence. Absolutely. Appreciate Bill Bullard coming on with RCAF CEO, RCAF USA. Thank you very much. A couple of things I wanted to mention here real quick. In just a few moments, as a matter of fact, after the 10:30 break, we're going to have a dear friend of ours, the activities coordinator for the Modern Woodman Fraternal Financial Organization, at our studio over in Rupert for a very special presentation. And we're going to carry that. They're going to be in the studio. I'm going to be over here. And so we'll have that coming up right after the break. Again, during the morning, I have been absolutely amazed. All the people that have been calling and leaving messages on my phone. You probably heard the phone ringing in the background and the answering machine going off. Thank you for all your kind thoughts from my lovely wife, Deanne. To give somewhat of an update without going in too deep, she's still in very intensive care, and we're hoping and praying for the best, especially the emphasis on the word praying, and I thank you for all your kind thoughts. And again, a reminder that tomorrow I will not be here. I'm going to have Sharon come in and do the program, and she's going to take care of all the little amenities of our great people representing the Chamber of Commerce, Penny Maine, and Cache County School Days, all of that tomorrow. And I can't thank her enough. And there's a couple other people I want to thank, too, that have jumped stepped in and have really helped me. And that's Sean running the board for me, and Gina. They've always been there in a time of need, and I certainly appreciate everything they've done. I think that's about it for right now. I think what we will do is go to the announcements at the bottom of the hour, just maybe a minute or two early, and then we'll have Jerry Voss on the other end with a special guest. So, Sean, if you don't mind, I'll turn it over to you, and I'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much and welcome back. Hey, don't forget Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More with our dear friend Jeff and his very, very efficient staff serving you with the best of all the furniture. They've got a selection of furniture that'll knock your socks off. All the chairs, the dining room sets, of course, all the recliners. They've got the largest selection of floor covering and carpet anywhere to be found. 40% off right now on all the window coverings, blinds, and shades. And they've got all the mattresses. Simmons Beauty Rest mattresses for a good night's sleep. I urge you to stop in and see my friend Jeff and his crew, excellent staff at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Ready for you at 459 Overland in Burley. Thank you. Right now, we're going to go over to the main studios, and I want everybody that's over at the studio to speak nice and loud and directly into the microphone. Don't hold it down to your knees. And we have with us Jerry Voss, an activities coordinator with Modern Woodman Fraternal Financial Association. Jerry, are you there, and can you hear me?
We're doing great this morning. Sure an honor to be able to do it on the radio with you. It's our first time. We've always done it over dinner. This year they asked us to do it virtually because of the virus. And I think it's a nice way of going about presenting the award.
Jerry, let me ask...
We've been doing it for about 40 years. And we've had several people in this area get it. One of them was Zeb Bell himself.
Yes.
Larry Cottam has got it. I won't mention any more because there's quite a few. But we've got Jim Jensen here, who is the honoree this year. And he's going to receive the award. It's a certificate that just appreciates what he does and what he's done. He's done a lot with veterans. He's an old Navy guy. He was a destroyer commander when he served in the service. He's been part of the American Legion in Burley, the Manicaja vets, I think the disabled vets, about everything that's out there, he belongs to it. He attends all the funerals, or most of them that he can.
Well, now, Jerry, wait a minute. Listen to me over here at my studio. You're presenting this man, Jim Jensen, with an award honoring him as a hometown hero. What are the particulars involving being a hometown hero? I know I was honored a few years back, but what basically is it for? I mean, what kind of accolades do they receive, and how do you choose a hometown hero?
Well, we've got a board that's comprised of several members, and every year we pick 6 candidates. And of the 6 candidates, we narrow it down to 1. And this year it was Jim's turn.
All right. Now, when you pick a hometown hero on behalf of Modern Woodman, what is their involvement in this program, Modern Woodman Fraternal?
They make the final choice. We send the last 2 to them, and they pick the one that gets it.
They do a lot for community support. Is that right, Jerry?
I couldn't understand you.
I said Modern Woodman has done an awful lot for community support all over this country. Is that correct?
Oh, yes. We do several things a year. I do a dinner every month for my members. We do, raise money for matching funds, like for the senior center and that monument that's over in Rupert that the flag flies at half staff. We paid for the dog pound and in Rupert. We do a lot of different things like that. We help the library and help football teams and baseball teams and bands and, just whatever's needs that year that we feel is necessary, we'll jump in and try and raise money for them.
Well, is Mr. Jensen right there with you, and could we get him on the air so we could ask him a few questions?
You got him.
I am here.
Jim, it is a pleasure to have you be recognized as a hometown hero with Mr. and my dear friend Jerry Voss and the Modern Woodman. Tell us a little bit about yourself in case people don't really know who Jim Jensen is. What have you do? What do you do? What have you done, etc.?
Well, I spent the majority of my time working I was in the United States Navy for 27 years. 5 of those years I was in the Reserve Navy, and then I took the exam for officer training, and I did that, and I spent the next 22 years on active duty. I retired in 1981, which is, I'm coming up on 40 years, so I've been away a long time.
Oh, my. You've served your country and evidently served your community very well. What are some of the community projects that you've been involved in?
Well, most of them have to do with the military groups that I've been with, and we do all of the funerals in Minnecasia Veterans area, or the Minnecasia area, and that keeps us pretty busy. We did, I think, 83 funerals last year, and this year we're up to, I'd have to ask Larry, he's here, but we're doing pretty well this year, although it was a little slower. Although we don't like to have any deaths, we want to be there to honor the family and the veteran.
Jim, let me ask you, with everybody getting older, yours truly in particular, I'm getting a little long and the gray hair on my mustache, but is it harder and harder to find vets that will be able to help at these funerals?
Well, it is harder to find. I mean, us old-timers have been doing it for a while, and bringing in people that are younger has been particularly hard to do. Every once in a while we'll pick up somebody who might be in their 50s or 60s, and that's young for us. we're all in our 70s and 80s, so I don't know what Jerry's when you were born, but
78.
But anyway, we would like to get new recruits in, and they certainly know about us. A lot of them attend the funerals and that sort of thing, and they're very gracious and happy with us and of what we do. So, but anyway, we're going to keep it going as long as we can because the veterans deserve it.
Absolutely. Jim, I'm going to ask you this question, and, being honored as a hometown hero, and Jerry Voss, of course, has done so much for the community. He honored me with the Hometown Hero Award, like I said, a couple of years ago. What does it mean to you?
Oh, it means a lot. I mean, gosh, I really didn't expect it. I try to operate in the shadows if I can, but I guess I got put out there. But I try to do my best, and anyway, it does mean a lot to get this from Jerry, and I'm really happy about that.
I'm going to ask you this, too. I look up and respect our veterans that have put their lives on the line for this great country. And what are your thoughts about where we are in the United States today, where it seems like we've lost pride in our country?
Well, I think just about everybody thinks that. Well, I guess there's a lot that don't, but anybody that I know of and where we live, we're certainly, we back the president 100%, and maybe I shouldn't say that, but we think that we got to stay in the right direction, and hopefully it'll be that way in the future. But yeah, we're not too happy with what's going on, and
we really love this country too much to have it doing what's happening.
Do you think, Jim, that the generation right under us and the generation below them, our grandchildren, do they really appreciate all the blood, sweat, and tears and lives that have been given for them to enjoy life in the greatest country in the world?
Well, I think there's a lot of them that do. We hear a lot from the ones that don't. But there's probably more than you think that really do love this country. Just look at our armed forces now and how well they have done. And whenever they're called upon to do their duty, they do it. And you have the police officers and many different people that help us out, that help the community out. So hopefully in the long run, that's the way it's going to be. So I'm kind of optimistic, but it does make you feel like you don't quite know what's going on.
Well, Jim, I want to thank you for your service to this country and actually your service to me, a person that couldn't serve because of physical problems. I thank you for all that you've done for our country, and I especially want to say God bless you for winning and being honored as a hometown hero. And if you would let Mr. Jerry Voss back on the microphone, God bless you, sir, and congratulations.
Yeah. One second.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
We've got Larry Cottam here. I would like him to say a word or two, too, if you would.
Absolutely. Larry, a dear friend of this program, has been in my studio many, many times, and he knows what kind of a mess my office is. Good morning, Larry. How are you?
Hi. How's everything out in that part of this neighborhood?
I am fantastic. How are you today?
Good. Still moving forward anyway, so I guess it's always a plus when we do that. Anyway, to get back to Mr. Jensen, when he says he's, like to operate in the shadows, that's pretty much true about him. He has been with the Mendocino Veterans for over 20 years. He drove the DAV van to Boise transporting patients up there for over 15 years. So, and he's always like that. And a lot of this stuff I've learned from him is just through visiting with him once in a while, because he never ever says what he's doing or anything else, and he's just a great guy, and we only wish we could have a whole bunch more of him.
Absolutely. Larry, I really value your friendship along with Jerry and Jim and everybody else, and I absolutely salute you for what you're doing and continue to do for this great United States of America. God bless you, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Zeb.
All right, sir.
See you again one of these days.
I hope so, sir. Jerry Voss, if you're right there, I'm going to kind of wrap things up a little bit. Do you have any final thoughts about the hometown hero, Jim Jensen? Go ahead and give us your final thoughts.
Okay, my final thought is Jim gets $100 to donate to his favorite charity, and he's going to give that to the Shriners Hospital in Salt Lake. I want to say thank you for letting us be on the air, and may the Lord bless you and your whole audience.
Jerry, you have been a true friend to this program, not only as a listener and a caller, but also at Lunch Bunch and everything else. And I say this and mean it sincerely. God bless you for all you've done for the community, and also a thanks to Modern Woodman. Jerry Voss, God bless you, and thanks for making this a part of my program.
You have a wonderful day.
Thank you, sir. And it was an honor to have those gentlemen on my program, Larry Cottam and my dear friend Jerry Voss, and honoring the hometown hero for this year, Jim Jensen. Thank you very much. Right now, we're going to talk a little bit about a great place to eat, and that's, of course, Edith's Cafe at 144 East Highway 81 in Burley. Have you been there? You better make the plans to go. Grab your friends and neighbors, Aunt Martha, Uncle Fred, everybody get over to Edith's Cafe. You're going to find out everything I told you is really true. Oh, the food is phenomenal. And you're not going to walk out of there hungry. I'll guarantee you that. They are located at 144 East Highway 81, right across from the golf course there in Burley. You can't miss them. And they do catering, and they handle call-in orders. If you just give them a jingle on the landline at 878-2248, you're going to love the menu. All the sandwiches, all the way to the steaks. Absolutely phenomenal. Edith's Cafe, 144 East Highway 81 in Burley. Open Tuesday and through Thursday, 11 to 8. Fridays and Saturdays, 11 to 9. Edith's Cafe. Well, it's time for the weather, and we're going to take a look at the weather forecast right now, brought to you by Scarrow's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Hello, Don Scarrow and the crew. They absolutely have the most delicious of meats for you, your family, and any occasion. I don't care if you need to have a whole bunch of marinated pork ribs or tri-tip or all the different flavors of bacon. My goodness, they've got them all. And the sausages and the bratwurst. Don't waste a minute. Get a hold of them today. Easy, 324-7657. Or you can check out all the great list of the meats at scarrowsmeats.com on their website. Scarrow's Meats in Jerome. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
A high pressure system is moving in over the next couple of days, bringing us some warmer temperatures as we move towards Labor Day weekend. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Sunny skies for today, a little bit of a breeze out of the west at about 12 miles an hour. We could have gusts as high as 25 miles an hour. Expecting a high of 87. Tonight, nice and clear. Still going to be breezy. Expecting a low of 51. Tomorrow, sunny skies with a high of 88. Clear for tomorrow night with a low of about 53 as we head towards Friday. Sunny skies, high of 91. 95 for Saturday, and then for Sunday, looking at a high of 90. And that's what is your weather for Zeb at the Rand.
And I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Gina. Scarrow's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. And don't forget, they are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. We're going to be taking off just a little bit early here today. I want to get things taken care of and run up and see my wife and see how she's doing. I hope and I pray, and I mean this, that when I get back on the air with you folks that are my friends, my audience, that we'll have better news next Tuesday when I'm on the program. I want to absolutely thank you again for all that you've done to help and offer of help and your well wishes, etc. Deanne's going through some really tough times. And it's very difficult for me to talk about because she is not only my wife, but my best friend. And we really absolutely do everything together. And I certainly hope and pray that all will be going on a better turn-up attitude, if you will, next Tuesday when I'm on the air. I want to say thank you to Sean and Gina and all the other folks, and I want to also end the program by mentioning our major sponsor, and that's, of course, our great friends at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. They absolutely have all the tires, like for all the vehicles. Your cars, passenger cars, your SUVs. My mind's going crazy today. I apologize. And pickup trucks, you name it, along with all the trailer tires for your horse trailer, boat trailer, whatever. All the tread designs, everything at all 7 locations. I urge you to stop in. And they've made a commitment for service to you with the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries, all of this and more. Service reigns supreme. And if you live out in the country on a farm, dairy, or ranch and you need some help, they've got those service trucks that'll be there to rectify the problem. Don't forget, all 7 locations serving you: James in Buell, Dan on Pole Line in Twin Falls, Lane in Rupert, Mike in Jerome, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, the Twist family in Paul, and my buddy Trent on Overland in Burley. Yep, the best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. I talked to Sean a little bit ago, and he's going to help me for a few minutes as we wrap the program up early. And I say God's blessings to him and all that he does. And like we always end the program, the way things were are the way things ought to be. And the 4 words that mean the most to me, especially at this time: in God we trust. I wish the very best for you and yours, and I pray that you have a very safe and family-oriented weekend coming up on Labor Day. And with Godspeed and well wishes, hopefully we'll have better news on Tuesday. God bless. We'll see you then.